Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Today we got a lot to talk about, so I'm just diving straight into it. But for those who don't know, Rob Manfred, the commissioner of MLB, was on MLB Network this morning addressing the media, among other people, about the current state of things. The owners just had meetings Tuesday through today. They're probably still meeting a little today, but this was the big press conference. And people expected him to come on here and say spring training is toast, it's delayed, it's not happening on time. However, it is happening on time apparently. So these are my main Twitter notifications that I have set up. It's mostly like, the big reporters, Jeff Passan, Bob Nightingale, Mark Feinsand, etc. But starting here at the bottom, he comes on and then he's just talking about, they understand how important it is for baseball to start, but the first big whammy was owners have accepted a universal DH while eliminating draft compensation for draft picks. And essentially what this means, of course, DH being that the NL is now going to have a DH, assuming this is what the players want, because I think that is a thing they've been campaigning for. And, I'm a little biased here because I'm an AL fan, but I think that's fine. Pretty much the only good hitting pitchers in the NL were like Jacob deGrom and sometimes Madison Bumgarner. I don't really know any others, but universal DH has been a long time coming, and it's going to give more players more chances to play in both leagues because, real quick example, someone like Nelson Cruz, I don't think he's ever been on an NL team. To my knowledge, at least not in the last 10 years, because he's a DH. He was on the Rangers for a while and then went to Seattle as a DH, Baltimore as a DH, and now he's on the Twins still at like 42, 43 years old. So that's cool, my opinion. And then I'm not fully knowledgeable on it, but I believe the draft compensation for draft picks, meaning that if you draft a guy and don't sign him, you get penalized for it. Like, you don't get a pick the next year or something. And I think it's slightly different now. So someone can correct me on that in the comments. I'm not fully sure what that means. But anyway, that was the first big whammy of the day there. Next big news was the status of spring training is no change right now. A little grammatically off, but let me retweet that, by the way. That's good news. Grammatically a little incorrect, but the message is still there that spring training is set to start. So that's really awesome. And then they're proposing another deal to players this Saturday, which is great. If they want spring training to start on time, then they better do it. They better make this deal on Saturday. They better agree to it because, to my knowledge, spring training is supposed to start in about 5-6 days. At least people reporting to it. So they got to get this deal knocked out this weekend, ideally, and then get people going over to either Arizona or Florida, Cactus League, Grapefruit League, wherever they might be. So that was good news there. And this was a funny comment by Manfred, just funny in kind of the tone-deaf sense. He said that's a mutual responsibility of the bargaining parties. Phones work two ways, and I got to see what people replied to this one with. MLB said they're not making a counter offer. So, yeah, I mean, people are not happy with that one because that, he was doing well up to that point. Said universal DH, spring training's not canceled, and then even Evan Grant was like, "That's awkward." So, weird comment. Then he goes on to say that you're always one breakthrough away from making an agreement, which is another kind of blanket statement. Like, you could say that about anything, So, sure, why not? But that's good that they're at least pushing for it. And then Jeff Passan comes out swinging with a bomb question of, are we getting opening day? And he says, I'm an optimist. I believe we will have an agreement in time to play our regular season schedule. And does go on to say later that he does realize it's awful Yeah, it's disastrous if the season was delayed or shortened again for the second time in 3 years. COVID was one thing. It did take him way too long to agree to that, but something that was out of their control. This is something that is in their control, so I'm curious what people have to say about that. I'm not sure what the joke there is, but yeah, please let this age well. Yeah, you know, Twitter gets pretty interesting here. The Rob Manfred parody accounts. God. Yeah, so oh, here's a clip, I guess. Let's just watch this real quick. I'll turn on the audio here so y'all can hear it as well. See what he's got to say.
Rob, do you believe that?
Oh, here's him asking the question.
On March 31st.
I am an optimist, and I believe we will have an agreement in time to play our regular schedule.
You're an optimist, but are you prepared to miss regular season games if it comes to that? Have you given consideration to what the long-term adverse effects that might have on the sport's vitality?
If I hadn't given consideration to what it would mean to miss games, I wouldn't be doing my job. Obviously, I pay attention to that. I see
Wow.
missing games.
He does not. I'm gonna pause this real quick. He does not sound very confident, just in the way he's talking. In general, does not sound very confident. But keep going here.
For this industry, and we're committed to making an agreement in an effort to avoid that.
We're committed to making an agreement, huh? I mean, I would hope it's kind of like the goal. But anyway, I'm getting a little off topic there. So Jeff passing with the great questions as usual. And then Manfred did acknowledge that the proposals made would put every single pre-arbitration player in a better spot than they are now. I don't know if that clip is any indication of anything. I don't know what. This sounds a lot better in quotes. The way he was delivering it sounds like he's not too confident on anything. He sounded kind of timid. So, I don't know. But at least they're kind of getting serious with it. He did go on to say that spring training needs to be about 4 weeks for regular season to start on time. And that's probably fine. I don't know how long it normally is, but I've always felt spring training is way too long. And, you know, they do manage players very well in these games. You know, starting guys get like two to 3 innings, like, you know, getting at bat, place them in the field, go home so they don't get injured. But there's a few too many games where injuries are possible. So that was another thing there. And then he drops the classic, we're making a good faith proposal forward. So I just hope, you know, hopefully Saturday is the day they get this offer and they're like, you know what? This is as far as the owners are going to budge, and the players are pretty strict on what they want, rightfully so. So that's what it is, and I hope that's what happens. But yeah, they're gonna have to have an agreement definitely by March, and hopefully like Saturday, because that's what is going on there. But we don't know. Yeah, we don't know how good is. It could be good for both sides, good for one side. I don't know. It's definitely going to be not an even deal. Someone is not going to be happy still. And hopefully it's not like the 2016 one where they're like, yeah, we just signed this like just to get to the next one, instead of it being a truly beneficial deal. This is another correction by Jeff here, was that a league spokesperson did talk about the competitive balance. I don't fully understand what that means. I've never really understood a lot of that. I guess there's an article here about it. Is it unlocked because it is The Athletic? No. That's unfortunate. I mean, for me, I get why they do that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Someone did ask about if Seager and Simeon being signed would impact this, but it's before this lockout happens, so I don't think it will. I read it as there won't be compensation for unsigned guys like the Mets, not the compensation for free agency. Okay, so it is the draft specifically, because that was a concern. Was like, we go and sign all these free agents, but then we lose however many draft picks next year. So that's really about it, though. I know it's a bit of a longer video, but there was a lot to talk about because there actually is finally something to talk about. So I don't want to get too optimistic, but it does sound like they're, it does sound like they're getting to a point where they don't have a choice but to give in to what the players want, which is sad in the sense that they shouldn't. Yeah, this is the tweet I was looking for. They shouldn't have to get to that point. They should just be doing that to begin with. But this was Evan Grant's perspective on the situation. They're getting a little more aggressive, might be more serious. And the rhetoric on revenue sharing gets to a more significant conversation this weekend, maybe. So, I don't know. It's hopefully something that they don't mess up. But that's where we're at now, y'all. So, lots of information in that little press conference. If I can find a link to it, I'll put it in the description, but I don't think it's anywhere online yet, like the full thing. MLB Network might be posting it at some point, but anyway, I won't ramble any longer this video. The short synopsis: spring training's not delayed. Universal DH is coming. No more compensation for draft picks or whatever. And opening day should be on time. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments. A lot of info, a lot of stuff. And hopefully I have an update on Saturday. I don't know. We will see. So appreciate y'all watching, and I'll talk to y'all later.